Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we have so many graduates who want to go abroad, especially to the US, to do their masters or higher education. And this video is for each of you who fall into this category. Today we have someone who graduated in 2018 from the University of Southern California and is currently working with Boston Scientific in the US. We'll try to understand from her an overall process on how to select your colleges, difference between a STEM and a non-STEM degree, the networking opportunities you actually have in a college, details about your placement, and your entire visa process once you do get a job in the US. So make sure you watch this video till the end. So without further ado, let's welcome Anvi Upadhyay. So Anvi, thanks for being part of this particular video. I really appreciate it. So you graduated from the University of South California in 2018. So I wanted to understand from your side that when what advice would you give it to someone when they are actually choosing their particular college? How would you narrow down the colleges in US for your masters?
I'll tell you what method I followed. You would pick like 6 to 8 colleges, and you can kind of categorize them as something that is achievable,
Mhm.
moderate, and something that is little towards it's like a dream college. The way you categorize it kind of depends on your GRE score, your TOEFL score. Every college has like an admission percentage, like number of applicants versus how many got picked. So there's a lot of categories and a lot of things which come into account. But for me, I had picked 6 colleges. And another thing I would like to mention is that this entire admission process is very expensive. So every college application is like 150 to $200, and then you have to send your scores. So overall, it's a little expensive. So I think that can also be one of the criterias of how, like an individual, how many college one wants to do. But I think my preference was to be on the West Coast because, first of all, because job opportunities are better in a way, like any college you pick anywhere, but most of the students tend to kind of come towards the Silicon Valley per se, like Bay Area, like that's where most of the tech jobs are. And I think the weather is also better. So, from like a little personal point of view, that was also one of my point of consideration.
In terms of the overall tuition fees, what is the average tuition fees in US for masters?
The average, considering quite a bit of amount of money will probably go into the initial application and like the visa process and everything, it'll somewhere be around 30 to 40 lakhs at least.
Mhm.
And so even in US, there's like 4 5 tiers of colleges, and this also depends upon what program you're choosing. So like an MBA would cost a little bit higher than a master's degree, like master's in computer science, what I did. So there's community colleges, which the only fee over there might just be because you're an international student. Apart from that, most of the community colleges, especially for students here, they're free. And from community colleges, then you have state colleges. Then after that, the third tier is University of California, like University of California, University of Arizona. So that's after the state universities. So that the tuition fee probably will be a little higher, and the ranking of the colleges also get better. And then there's private colleges. So USC is a private college, and then there's Ivy League. So there can be like the annual tuition fee can vary like majorly from all the programs and for all these different tiers of college.
And in terms of, so when a person is deciding to go for masters in US, they have this big confusion that whether they want to get into a STEM degree or non-STEM degree. So if you could just explain what either of the degrees are and which actually has a higher chance of getting a job in US once the masters is done.
I'd say I'd start with what a STEM degree is. So STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So any field or degree relevant to those four subjects falls under STEM. As per visa point of view, if you are doing a STEM degree and with the regulations in United States right now, you get 3 years of what is called as OPT, optional practical training, where after the completion of your degree, after that duration, you can stay back and get a job and get practical training in the industry and in your relevant field. So it's not you cannot say that, oh, you can stay here for 3 years and keep looking for a job, but you can do like internships, you can do paid unpaid work both, and stay and explore opportunities in US for 3 years. And non-STEM is any other degree which does not fall under the science, technology, engineering, math bracket. Um, but it kind of depends on your degree choice also, like what you want to come to study over here. And sometimes, like most of the MBA degrees are non-STEM, but sometimes there's dual degrees where you get MBA and masters together, and that overall degree becomes a STEM degree. So I think nowadays people put in a lot of research before coming in, and I think STEM is obviously preferable.
Understood. And in terms of overall approach to studies, so when you did graduation in India versus your post graduation in US, how was the approach to studies different in your masters?
So first of all, I feel that masters is it's more agile. It's very fast. So like by the time you come to a new country, get settled in, and like your first 2 semesters, your one entire year can just fly by. Whereas for undergrad, you get 4 years, you get like time to explore, you get time to figure out what your actual liking is. And with masters, I think the coursework that I had, it was very demanding. Like for one subject, I it was broken down like 100% grade was broken down into like 6 7 categories, and there was a project, and there's like regular quizzes, and there's multiple assignments, and then there's classwork, and then you have to read research papers. So I think
Mhm.
undergrad you can do at a little easier pace, I would say, but grad is very demanding.
Understood. Now, one very common thing is when people move to US, they tend to do part time so that they can actually manage their expenses and everything. But I'm quite sure there will be a lot of people who will be very confused in terms of how to even start looking for a part time. What is the average pay around? What is the average pay for international students? So, what would you say around that topic?
I think for part time, it's little difficult to find something really early on, because there's a lot of things going on when you go there. First of all, but I think these days, before even people reach US, there's a lot of networking events, and like people find each other on like social media, on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and they have these groups. And more or less via this networking and via these groups, you'll find your seniors or somebody who's already studying over there. So I think if you have somebody in your network who can probably fetch you like a campus job or like refer you, so you could always go apply that. You'll have resources on your website, or if you know somebody working over there. So it can be a little tedious to do the part time also. So it's completely on your choice whether you want to do it or not. And the average pay, it's not decided whether you are international student or domestic student. It it's more like there's a base pay for every state here, depending on like every state has a variant base pay. So for California, when I was working, it was around $8 to $10, somewhere in that range. But then it kind of every year it increases a little bit. So, and this I'm talking about an hourly rate.
Understood. And in terms of networking opportunities, one of the key things about either a master's or an MBA is that you have to network more. So, in terms of networking opportunities, what kind of opportunities are there when you do masters?
So I think your university itself will provide you with a lot of networking opportunities. You have to keep your like eyes and ears open because there's so many things going on campus. And since day one, there's like companies coming in and conducting networking sessions, and you can talk to employees or recruiters. You can submit your resume. Then I think almost every college has like an online portal where jobs are listed, so you can go and look for jobs over there, or at least you can find out that what companies are coming in. And that's where most of the resources are also there. Like they'll help you with resume editing if you want to talk with some counselor about building up a resume, or like preparing a pitch when you have to go for career fairs and networking events. So all those resources are available. And apart from that, we have 2 to 3 career fairs for my field. We have like annually we had 2 to 3 career fairs. And apart from that, on a city level also, like there'd be a lot of talks and technical talks, networking events happening outside of the college domain in your city.
Understood. And in terms of placements, when do placements normally start when you're doing masters?
Initially, in the first or second semester, when you come in, you're most likely trying to look for a summer internship, if that's possible in your case. So, one thing to keep a note about is you cannot work outside of campus for 9 months after coming in as
Okay.
an international student. So for USC, we have spring admits and fall admits. So when you come in fall, you are kind of eligible in the summer internship time. So because 9 months have gone through, but when you come in spring, most of the time it happens that you're not eligible for the first summer. So spring is like January onwards. You're not eligible during that summer, but the next summer. So that kind of gives you a little bit more time to prepare. But I think placement starts day one. Like I still remember couple of companies had come for on-campus recruiting before I even started with my classes. So it's in the end, it's kind of your decision when you want to approach it. Do you want to like go there, use some resources, get some help, build a resume, and do some networking before you actually start? But you can start like right as soon as you get in.
Understood. And in terms of visa, so when you're going to US, you're on a student visa. So from so when you get placed, so let's say you get a job opportunity over there. From then, how does your visa process change? Does the company apply for you, or you have to do it yourself? What exactly the process around it?
So for most STEM degrees, the process is you have to apply for this card called EAD. It's called employment authorization document. So once the 1.5 year or how much ever is the duration of your degree program that ends, then you have to apply for this card. So if you have, and you need like a job offer letter for this card. So you're working on the OPT extension of your student visa, and you have the EAD to start working with. And the next progression would be to apply for an H1B, which is the work visa.
Understood.
So if you're on STEM, you kind of have 3 to 4 chances, depending if you have a job earlier on. So then your company would apply for you before you even graduate. That's possible too. But you have 3 chances over the 3 years that you're going to be there and it's a lottery process. So uh, for the H1B
Understood.
work visa.
And if you had to give one advice to anyone who's planning to do masters in US and is in the lookout and everything, what advice would you give them?
I think they should do a lot of research. There's a lot of information available online for all the colleges and all different opportunities. They should reach out to people in their domain, in their field, in the college they want to target. find out from seniors or people who have been in that position about like their journey, their experience, and probably start networking. LinkedIn is a great resource for that. So just do a lot of research, and once you actually decided, like once you're decided that you're going to come in, then be prepared for it. Like you're going to be short on time, and the coursework is definitely going to be demanding. So that'd be
Understood.
like the two things I would say.
Understood. Perfect. I think that would be everything. So I really appreciate you taking out your time for this.
Thank you.